Hey guys, Fletch the Football Observer here, and today's Fletch Talks video is going to centre around possibly the biggest transfers of the summer 2019. The transfer window once again opens in a few weeks' time, and I've put together a list of 10 of the biggest players who are likely to move during this time period. These are names that are definitely worth looking out for this summer as teams look to build in preparation for next season. So without further ado, let's kick off the list of the top 10 biggest potential transfers of 2019. Number 10, Kalidou Koulibaly. The first player on this list is Kalidou Koulibaly, who's rumoured to possibly be leaving Napoli this summer, with a 27-year-old looking to move on elsewhere, and he may have the Premier League within his sights. The Senegalese centre-back has impressed during his time in Italy with Napoli, becoming a dominant and accomplished ball-carrying centre-back, catching the eye of many of Europe's top clubs, especially with his performances this season during Napoli's Serie A campaign and their European run in both the Champions League and the Europa League. In 34 league appearances this season, Koulibaly has scored 2 and assisted 2, also helping to keep 14 clean sheets in a season where Napoli finished runners-up to Juventus. A big, strong, confident centre-back, calm, cool, collected, strong in the air and capable of dribbling with the ball from the back. Koulibaly has all the qualities and tools to be a worthy asset to any club. But if he is to move, where will he go? As I previously mentioned, the Premier League could be his likely destination, with Manchester United allegedly in the running to sign him. But there have also been reports linking the 27-year-old to a move to Spain. Big player with a big transfer possibly on the horizon. Koulibaly is definitely one to look out for this summer. Number 9, Paulo Dybala. Could it finally be time for Paulo Dybala to move on from Juventus this summer? Well, if reports are to be believed, it very well could be the case. The 25-year-old is being linked with a move away from Juventus this summer, as there are numerous reports of incomings at the Italian club that could force Dybala to move away from the Allianz Stadium. Dybala signed for Juventus back in 2015 and has gone on to make 180 appearances in the famous black and white shirt of Juventus, scoring 78 goals and creating 31 assists, with his stats this season reading that he's appeared 28 times, scoring 5 and assisting 6. And his overall stats are not that bad at all, considering he's not necessarily a striker. The Argentine is 25 years old, versatile in the fact that he can play as a number 10 or on either wing, or even as a striker. He's got quick feet, good technical ability, he's quick, got a good work ethic about him for a more advanced player, and would definitely be a worthy asset to any side. Reports have linked Dybala with a move to Spain, as Atletico Madrid have been rumoured to be looking into signing him. But there's also rumoured interest from the Premier League, with both Liverpool and Manchester United also reportedly to be interested in the Argentine playmaker. Either way, Juventus and Dybala will be a club and a player to look out for over the summer. Number 8, Christian Eriksen. Are Spurs set to lose a key member of their squad this summer? Well, if recent reports are to be believed, this could very well be the case, as Christian Eriksen is the latest Tottenham player to be linked with a move away from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this summer. Eriksen's been a player that's always been in high demand. Even before signing with Tottenham and playing for Ajax, Eriksen was a player who attracted a lot of interest from many of Europe's top teams in particular, and even after signing with Spurs, the interest within the Danish star never stopped. A great number 10, a playmaker who can see a pass long before he even receives the ball, as well as having the potential to score plenty of worldies. Eriksen's perfect for any team that's lacking a bit of a creative edge. In 35 Premier League appearances this season, Eriksen scored 8 times and assisted 12 times, whereas in total he's played 276 times in a Tottenham shirt, scoring 66 and assisting 86 times. This is not a certain transfer to go through by any means, it's just a big rumour that's been going around about the Danish playmaker that I felt was interesting and was worth mentioning and putting into this list here. Tottenham of course will be doing everything they can to keep him, and if they win the Champions League this year, then maybe that will be enough to tempt him to stay. But the question is, would it actually be enough to tempt him to stay? The team that's been linked with him most is Real Madrid, and as you'll go through this list, you'll find that Madrid are linked with a number of players this year, but more on that later. So the question is, will the 27-year-old jump ship this summer? Number 7, Gareth Bale. Okay, so I know this is a list of 10 players, and there aren't exactly rules as to who I can have on it, but I'm going to restrict it to one player from a particular side. And when it came to picking someone from Real Madrid, it was pretty difficult to stick to this. Madrid have endured arguably their worst season in a very, very long time, if not ever. No silverware at the end of the season and a third place finish to boot, which with everything considered, count your blessings. But with it all going off at the Bernabeu this season, including Zinedine Zidane's return back in charge of the club, there are reports that there's set to be huge changes coming this summer, heavily impacting the Madrid squad, with many players reportedly set to leave in order to rebuild the squad in general. Apparently, Madrid are looking to go back to their glory years of rebuilding the Galacticos and are targeting many of Europe's top players, and I'm sure a few will make this list. We'll have to wait and see. So, picking just one name from the Madrid squad who's set to leave this summer was pretty tough, because a lot of players could have arguably made it here. But I went with a safe bet, and I went with one Gareth Bale. 6 years ago, Gareth Bale signed for Real Madrid in what was then a world record transfer deal, and has since gone on to make 231 appearances in the famous white shirt of the Spanish Giants, scoring 102 goals and creating 64 assists. Bale has seemed to divide opinion within the Madrid fanbase, however, with many frustrated by his inconsistency throughout his Madrid career, despite Bale being a real driving force in helping Madrid towards recent Champions League success. The Welshman is 30 years of age, so for a winger he's probably coming towards the end of his prime, so he will need to join a club that are ready to challenge for trophies immediately. But I can't see any of those teams wanting to take Bale. You look at the Premier League and the only teams that are ready are the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool, but I can't really see them wanting to take him, to be honest. You could argue Tottenham as well, but I don't think they'll want him either, and a return to Tottenham looks very unlikely. You look elsewhere though, you look at the likes of Juventus, PSG or Dortmund, it's unlikely they'll want him, whereas Bayern Munich could get a couple of good years out of him, but even they're looking to rebuild themselves with some younger, fresher faces. The team who's constantly linked with his signature is Manchester United. The upside for Bale is that United have lacked a decent right winger for some time now, so he could slot right in right away. But they're in no position to challenge for anything major next season, unless some huge and unlikely events occur this summer. Interesting times though do lie ahead for the Welshman come the summer. Number 6, Mauro Icardi. One of Serie A's most notorious marksmen is reportedly on the move this summer in Inter Milan's Mauro Icardi. Icardi has had a storied career so far at the age of 26, and they're just stories off the pitch. But on the pitch, Icardi has built up a reputation as being a monster in front of goal. But despite his goal-scoring ability, his and his agent's actions, his agent is also his wife, have caused the Argentine striker to be frozen out of the team for most of this season. Basically, his wife said some things to the media that Inter weren't happy with, and in response, they stripped Icardi of the captain's armband, and from there, things turned even more sour. Icardi refused to play in Inter's next game, and it was almost a couple of months till Icardi played another game in an Inter Milan shirt. With that break, Icardi managed 10 goals in Serie A this season from 26 appearances, but if you look at his overall tally, he's scored 123 goals in 216 appearances, which isn't a bad return at all. Due to being frozen out for parts of this season, it seems inevitable that Icardi is set to leave the San Siro this summer, and I'm sure that despite his off-field issues and his outspoken nature, he will have no problem in finding a new club. But it's been reported that despite interest from overseas, mainly the likes of Atletico Madrid and PSG, Icardi would like to keep playing his football in Italy, and that desire is likely to be met, with Juventus said to be the front runners to secure his signature. But of course, nothing is set in stone, so watch this space on this one. Number 5, Timo Werner. Last year, RB Leipzig lost Naby Keita. This year, they may be set to lose another key player in Timo Werner. The German striker has been attracting interest from around Europe for a while now, and it appears that Leipzig are caught in two minds over what to do with the 23-year-old for this upcoming transfer window. Werner's contract runs out next summer, and it doesn't look likely that Werner will be extending his contract with Leipzig in the near future. So therefore the German club could be tempted to cash in on the German rather than risk losing him for a free next year. Leipzig finished third in the Bundesliga this year, and in the 30 appearances that Werner made for the club in the Bundesliga, he scored 16 goals and assisted 10 times, and since moving from Stuttgart to Leipzig back in 2016, Werner's made 112 appearances in all competitions, scoring 61 goals and assisting 28 times. Not a bad return for a striker who's not even reached his prime yet. He's 23 years old, he's full of energy, and he's full of pace, and he has an eye for goal, and he's only going to get better. Werner is certainly a striker that most clubs should have on their radar right now. He holds several accolades, mainly for being Stuttgart's youngest ever player and youngest goal scorer, as well as being the Bundesliga's youngest player to reach 100 and then 150 league appearances. And on top of that, he was also a part of Germany's Confederations Cup triumph back in 2017. The striker's been linked with a move to Bayern Munich, which would mean a stay in the Bundesliga and a stay in Germany, but the German Giants may decide to hold off on a bid and risk possibly capturing him for a free transfer next year. Whilst another team possibly interested is Premier League Liverpool, with Jurgen Klopp reportedly a big fan of the young German, but where his future lies, only time will tell. Number 4, Philippe Coutinho. Oh dear, oh dear. Philippe Coutinho looks set to leave the Camp Nou this summer, not even 18 months after he left Liverpool for Barcelona back in January of last year. A common phrase seems to spring to mind here, something about the grass isn't always greener on the other side. A couple of years ago, the Coutinho saga completely escalated, with Coutinho wanting out of Liverpool, and Barcelona was his likely destination. The Reds held on till January, where eventually a £142 million deal was struck, and Coutinho left, and that was the end of that. Except, over a year later, the deal wasn't worked out, but the Barcelona supporters aren't happy with his performances, and in a beautifully poetic way, the game that tipped frustrations over the edge was the second leg of the Champions League semi-final against his former club in Liverpool, a game in which the Reds were awesome, produced some heroics, and beat the odds to knock Barcelona out of the competition. The reports are suggesting that Barcelona are to bite their tongue on this deal for the Brazilian and make a heavy loss on the figure that they originally brought him for, with Barcelona apparently slapping an £86 million price tag on him. He's played 75 games, scoring 21 goals and assisting 11 times, making 33 appearances in La Liga this season alone, scoring 5 and assisting twice. And despite his short stay in La Liga, he has won 2 La Liga titles and a Copa del Rey. When you think of Coutinho's career at the Camp Nou, you can only think of one word to sum it up, and that word is inconsistency. It has been Coutinho's downfall since his big money move to Barcelona, because you've got to think that at Barcelona, it's obviously a club with extremely high expectations, and with the hefty price tag Coutinho had on his shoulders when he first arrived, he was obviously going to be watched closely and had a huge target on his back. But if he is to leave this summer, where will he go? That is the question. A return to Liverpool looks unlikely, but a move to the Reds' fierce rivals Manchester United has been heavily linked for a while. And whilst a return to the Premier League isn't completely out of the question, Coutinho will probably have many options this summer, whether it's to go and play his football in the likes of France or Germany, or even to return to Serie A. But for now, it appears that Coutinho's time at Barcelona is coming to a sour end. Number 3, Matthijs de Ligt. The youngest player on this list, and he comes in at number 3. Matthijs de Ligt is set to be the next Ajax star to be ripped away from the Dutch club's grasp as the next huge star to be created from this famous academy, notorious for creating and moulding many future superstars. He may be 19 years old, but already he's built up quite the reputation in the Netherlands and in Europe, At his young age, he's already become Ajax's youngest ever captain, as well as the youngest ever captain during the Champions League knockout stages, and has also won the Golden Boy Award, becoming the first defender to win that particular accolade. This season alone, De Ligt has played 32 Eredivisie games, scoring 3 goals and helping in keeping 15 clean sheets in Ajax's title-winning season. The Dutch club have also won the hearts of many fans during their Champions League campaign, in which Ajax have performed well above expectation, progressing through to the semi-final stages before being beaten on away goals by Tottenham. During the campaign, De Ligt had played 17 games in that competition, even helping the Dutch side beat Real Madrid in the round of 16 stage, and in the quarter-finals, De Ligt scored the winning goal to knock Juventus out of the competition. There's heavy speculation that the young centre-back is being lined up for a move to Spanish giants Barcelona, as they're strong favourites to snap up his signature this summer. But possible outsiders could come from the Premier League, as both Manchester United and Liverpool have also shown interest in the 19-year-old. Liverpool, of course, could use De Ligt's fellow countryman Virgil van Dijk as a way to lure the 19-year-old to Anfield this summer. But either way, this young man is certainly one to watch this summer and beyond. Number 2, Paul Pogba. Simply put, Paul Pogba's Manchester United career hasn't exactly gone to plan. The 26-year-old has shown flashes of his talent in a United shirt, but nothing really consistent. And considering the huge transfer fee that the Red Devils bought him for back in 2016, many United supporters are now beginning to grow extremely frustrated with the French midfielder and feel that this season could have been the last we've seen of Pogba in a Manchester United shirt. Through the past 3 seasons, Pogba's form has been inconsistent to say the least, and many will state that he hasn't justified his £89 million price tag. Failure to turn up in some of United's quote-unquote big games down the years, along with fans growing extremely frustrated with him seemingly more interested in growing his off-the-pitch brand, have caused some of United's fan base to turn their back on him. After the final game of the season against Cardiff, in which United lost 2-0, footage emerged of Pogba being abused by some of his own supporters, and whilst selling a big player like Pogba may hurt United, it could possibly benefit them in the long run. With 142 appearances for United under his belt, scoring 31 goals and assisting 29 times, there's still something with Pogba here. I just think that poor man management and a failure to bring in the correct players around him have harmed his Red Devils career. Because let's face it, when he's playing for France, he's a completely different player in a good way. There are a number of teams linked with his name, no report's been strong enough however, but if he is to leave Old Trafford this summer, he's sure to receive plenty of interest from many of Europe's top clubs. Interesting times do lie ahead for the 26-year-old Frenchman. And finally, number 1, Eden Hazard. This is the story of one Eden Hazard, a story that has been carried over multiple transfer windows, a saga that has always seen the Belgian winger linked with a constant move to Real Madrid for a while, and whilst it's always been positive that he stayed put at Stamford Bridge, this summer it seems even more likely that Real Madrid will finally capture their long-term target. Hazard was a bright light in an otherwise dark season for Chelsea, scoring 16 goals and making 13 assists in 34 appearances in the Premier League. But if you look overall, the 28-year-old has been at Stamford Bridge since 2012, and in those 7 years he has scored 85 Premier League goals in 242 appearances and 108 goals in 346 appearances in all competitions. Earlier in this video, I touched upon Real Madrid's poor season and how there's been heavy talk of some major activity that's going to happen this summer in regards to some huge incomings and outgoings. And Hazard could be the beginning of this rebuilding stage of another era of Galacticos. However, this is not set in stone. Recent reports and actions from the Belgian seem to suggest that he may be wanting to stay at Stamford Bridge for at least another season, and Chelsea's transfer ban could be one of the reasons for him doing so. Contrasting reports have come out over the season as to whether or not Hazard will be leaving Chelsea or not, but with his profile, age and talent, this makes him arguably the biggest potential transfer of the summer. And that wraps up this video on the top 10 biggest potential transfers of the summer. But of course, this is all just one man's thoughts and one man's opinions on this topic. So what do you think? Where do you see any of these players going this summer? Are there any players out there that I may have missed off of this list? I'd love to read your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below on this subject. Hit that like button on the way out, guys, if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this on the channel. Both things will be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, the Football Observer. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I'll see and speak with you all again soon in another video.